Welcome back to Mouselip's Chess Channel and my third YouTube video. I think it's very important for every online chess player, and even over the board, to have a database on their computer of all their games, preferably separated into different databases based upon the time control that you play. Now, I play on two different popular chess websites. I play on Lichess and I play on chess.com. Mostly I play on chess.com. But what I'm going to show you today is how to download your game archive so that you can use it in SCID-vs-PC to set up your own personal databases. Later, in future videos, I'll discuss how to use those to track your progress. So first things first, you need to create a directory or folder that you want to use to keep your databases in. I've already got one set up in Documents and SCID bases. That's the one that I'm going to use. We're going to go to Lichess first because Lichess makes it very simple to download your game archive, even in the different time controls. So let's get those first. If you go into Lichess, go into your profile, and over here by this little hamburger is an export games option. We're going to click that, and you'll see that you have all kinds of time controls and various options that you could use to download. We want to get everything, so we're not going to change any dates. We're not looking for a specific opponent or anything like that. But the only ones that I'm concerned in are Blitz, Rapid, and Classical. Those are the only games that I've played on Lichess. I don't play any variants, so there won't be any in the archives of those. So what I want to do is I'm going to download Blitz first. So I'm going to turn off Classical. I also don't play any correspondence here on Lichess. But I do want to have move times, and we'll let them put the opening in there in the PGN. So right now with this set, I'm going to download all my Classical games. Pardon me. I'm going to download all my Blitz games. And since I don't play any of these, it will not download any of those. If you do play any of these, you're going to have to check those off if you just want to get the Blitz for standard games. So after we've got this set, we're going to click download. I've already got it set to Documents and SCID bases. And it comes up with Lichess, Mouselip, and today's date. At the very front of this, I'm going to put Blitz because this is my Blitz archive. So those are all my Blitz games on Lichess. Next, I'm going to download my Rapids. So again, I'll put Rapid in the front of that. Save it. And now Lichess has saved all of my Rapid games. I'm going to uncheck Rapid and go with Classical. Download those. Go to the beginning and say Classical. So I have all the games I'm concerned about on Lichess. Now let's go to chess.com. Notice that with chess.com, if you go to your game archive, you have to get specific. If I want to see all my live games, and instead of all live types, say I just want my Blitz, okay, and I want to start with the oldest, so the first ones in the database are the oldest, and click search, it'll come up with several pages. Now, unfortunately, you can only download one page at a time, and it only puts 50 games on there. You'll see that I've got 3,563 games. So it would take me a long time to download 50 at a time. It's 72 pages. So I wish chess.com would have an easier way to download all of your games at once in a certain time control. Since it's so difficult, we're not even going to use that. So there's another website that has been set up, thankfully, called chessinsights.xyz. And I recommend using this to download your chess.com archive. So on this website, we're going to put our username, in my case, mouselip. It's searching through all the games. It's found about 1,000. We're at about the 2,000 mark. A few more left to go. And we're almost there. So it is downloaded. It's showing 3,915 games. Now I'm going to click export. So I'm going to export these as PGN. And where am I going to put them? I'm going to put it in the SCID databases. And it's got mouselip with today's date. I'm going to keep it as it is because this contains every time control. And we're going to have to use SCID-vs-PC to divide up the various time controls. So this is our entire chess.com archive. So it is saved. Now we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of configuring SCID-vs-PC. And when you start SCID-vs-PC for the very first time, it comes up with this startup screen and just a very basic generic screen to use. We're going to go ahead and close the startup, and our main screen, we're going to put it up here. And the first thing we're going to do is open our databases. So let's go File and Open and see how it's going to several different places. But we want to go to Documents and SCID bases. So we're going to open up each one of these. We're going to open Blitz Lichess. We'll also open Classical Lichess. We'll open the chess.com archive. And we will open the Rapid Lichess archive. Now, where are my databases? They're so hard to find. This is where we want to change the layout. This is a very important step. So you need to go to Options, Windows, Restore Layout, and the one that I recommend using is called SA. So we'll click that. And now it's given us a nice window and filled out a lot more details. And if you see down here in the bottom, it has what's known as the database switcher. So you can see all the databases that are open. There's my Blitz at Lichess, my Classical at Lichess, my entire archive from chess.com, and my Rapid PGN database from Lichess. Now, another very important thing to do now, because even though this is set to automatically save options, it does not save the layout. So we need to save the layout first, because if we don't save the layout, it'll come back up with that plain vanilla screen the next time we start it. So we're going to save the layout. We're also going to make a change to where the bases are located. So we're going to go to this option, Bases Directory. Notice it comes up with this one that's way out of bounds. So I'm going to come up here, going to go Home, Tyron, Documents, SCID bases, and that's going to be the one to use. And we're going to set, we're not going to set the bases as default yet until we make these into SCID databases. So this is our beginning. Now the next thing we want to do is convert these PGNs to SCID databases, because you can't do a whole lot with just PGN files besides copy and move files around. You can't even delete anything from those databases. They are read-only. So what we need to do now is create our databases. So I'm going to say new, and then we're going to go to the right place to do it, which is Documents, SCID bases, and I'm going to say Lichess Blitz. Now, the way I copy my Blitz PGN to the Blitz database is I'm just going to left click on this, drag it over, and drop it on that empty database. It's going to pop up a dialog that asks me if I want to copy 493 games. So I'm going to say yes, copy. So now there's 493 Blitz games over here. And now I don't need the PGN database anymore. I'm going to close it. We're going to do the same with each one of these. We have a Lichess Classical. So we're going to go File, New, Documents, SCID bases, Lichess Classical. So it's empty. We're going to drag and drop the PGN to the Lichess Classical database that is currently empty. Drop them in there. Another dialog will pop up. Copy these games. Yes. And now I don't need the Classical PGN anymore, so I'm going to close it. We have now the chess.com archive. I'm going to make a new database, and I'm just going to call it chess.com because that's got every single one of my chess.com games in it. And I'm going to drag and drop the chess.com downloaded PGN onto chess.com empty. Is it going to copy? Yes, copy 3,942. It's in that one. I'm going to close the PGN. Well, let's highlight it first, and then we're going to close it. Finally, the last PGN we need to do is for Rapid, Lichess Rapid. So I'm going to do a new Lichess Rapid. Save it. I'm going to drag the PGN for Lichess Rapid onto this. Copying 156 games. And then I'm going to close the PGN. Now, if I want all of these databases to be open and available each time I start SCID-vs-PC, I'm going to go back to Options and Save Bases as default. We've already saved the layout. We've saved the directory that we're going to copy our chess bases in, or databases into. So now let's see what happens when we restart. We get our splash screen. And we got all our databases open. So this is where the fun begins. We can use the Lichess already for some of our analysis of our own games. Just to give you a taste of what's ahead. Most of my games on Lichess have been Blitz. We'll go with the Blitz database. Notice over here below the board it shows 2 players. This is the game that's loaded, BGen 0098 versus Mouselip. If I click on Mouselip over here, the player information tab comes up and it shows there's 493 games from 2018 March to 2023 October. As you can see, I don't play a lot on Lichess, which I plan to rectify because it's a really good website. Toward the bottom of this, there's a rating history, and this goes by month. It's the end of the months. So at the end of when you played, by the way. So at the end of the first month of play, I was at 1,500. In May of 2018, 1592, 1741 by July, and you can see what happens as you progress. Wow, it dropped down to 1500. I don't know why that is. Something odd with that one. And then 2018, 1891. So you can see the increase in the rating until, sometimes it drops back down a little bit. And I'm currently 1988 for Lichess Blitz. This is kind of a handy thing. And this is why I recommend that you divide it up into different time controls. Because if you had, say, classical games mixed in here, then and your last game was a classical game on that month, and it'll show up here, and your ratings will be all skewed. So let's take a look at the rapid games for me, and then at the end you can see this is all my rating history on Lichess for rapid. And finally, for classical, and you can see a progression on this as well. So the next thing we have to do is we're going to have to deal with chess.com, because chess.com has everything. If we look at Mouselip on chess.com, those ratings are just all over the place. There's no real good progression because you don't know which one of these you played the last game in. Was it a blitz game, or was it a rapid game, or was it a daily game at the end of that month? Whichever one it was, it's going to be your rating for that time that shows up here. So our next major task is going to be dividing the chess.com database into databases for all the various time controls that I play. And that's going to be a little bit more of an advanced use of SCID-vs-PC. So that will be in the next video. Thank you very much for watching. Five, four. Upon reviewing my last video, I realized I made some mistakes when I created some of these databases. On two of them, I forgot to put them in the appropriate directory. So I'm going to have to rectify that. So let's take a look here. I put those. I believe it's going to come up in home. So you'll see this is the Lichess Rapids. There's going to be 3 files that make up the database for Lichess. There's an SN4, an SI4, and an SG4. 3 files that go along with each database. This is the SN, N means names. So this is a database of the names. Lichess Rapid SI4, that is a database indexed. And Lichess Rapid SG4, that's all the games. Notice the same thing. I have an SN4, SI4, and an SG4 at chess.com. So I am going to move these to the appropriate directory. Let's go back for a second. Hold on. I'll paste these in here. So they're going to go in there. Now let's see what happens when I start SCID-vs-PC again. Let's close it. And we're going to open it up again. See, it says, hey, I can't find this database. Can't find that database. Let's close this startup. And notice we're only showing Lichess Classical and Lichess Blitz. So I need to go File, Open. We're in the right directory now. We've got the Blitz and the Classical. We need the chess.com. And we need the Rapid. Make sure that's the It's not, I don't want the PGN. I want the Lichess Rapid. Open it. So now I have Lichess Blitz, Lichess Rapid, Lichess Classical, chess.com, and I'm going to have to go back over here to options again and save the bases as default. Now the next time we open it, it should come up with all the databases. Well, this was a mistake on my part, but it's an interesting mistake because this way you get to see what the 3 files are associated with SCID versus PC databases. They're SI for an index, SN for name, and SG for games. So 3 files related to that. Thank you very much for watching.